Brews and Views, a podcast where we review movies, give our opinion on what's going on in the world, all while drinking good beer. Crack open a good brew and open your minds for Brews and Views.
Say hey, everybody out there in the intranet land. This is Juan Cordero, the one and only, coming at you with another podcast for June 3rd, 2021. How is everyone doing out there? I first want to take this time to say to all the families and loved ones, or more to just think about all the families and loved ones that have someone that fought for our country, in our military, for those men and women who pay the ultimate sacrifice to keep our country safe. You know, people get confused on what Memorial Day is. Memorial Day is if you want to go out there and you want to, grill out, or you want to have some friends over, you want to have family over, you want to have whatever over, enjoy those times and do that, because, these men and women who have actually fought for our country and didn't come home, who made the ultimate sacrifice and died for our country, are giving us the liberties and giving us the luxury of doing what we want on a day-to-day basis in our country from foreign entities, or whatever you want to call them. But people forget what it is. Memorial Day is remembering the people, the soldiers who have went to war, that fought and didn't get to come home. And those families and those loved ones had made the sacrifice of giving their son or daughter or their friend or their loved one up to the country, for the military, to protect our country in whatever means necessary. But we're going to move on with the podcast here. And it's been 1 year since George Floyd's murder, and the first time in U.S. history that every state in the USA protest to seek justice for George Floyd and speaking out against police brutality. When all this started happening about a year ago, if you would just take a moment and just remember the things that were happening about a year ago, when COVID first started. COVID has already been in. We're weeks into COVID, because this all started around in March. Really, it started like early in November in China, and then it kind of worked its way over into the surrounding countries and nations, and then eventually made it to the United States. When it did make it here to the United States, it was probably February. It probably was here in January, but we didn't really know it. We didn't really start taking precautions about all that until like March, and then we started quarantine. But March, so it goes March, April, and then May 25th is when George Floyd was murdered that day. And I kind of just want to go through kind of a timeline of what happened to kind of remember what's going on, because the fight isn't over yet. These things still continue to happen even after we protest, even after over 2,000 surrounding cities in each state, in each 50 state of the United States, and several countries overseas and around the world, just came together, unified to protest against police brutality, because it's not just happening with just, within our country in the United States. This is happening everywhere, because humans have always kind of discriminated against each other on whatever means. But I don't know what it is with humans, but we just discriminated against people. We don't like certain people because of this or because of that. And sometimes it boils down to because of some little thing that happened a long time ago. But anyway, and I'm not trying to make light of it, because this is a very, very serious situation, but a serious topic and serious thing that's going on that continues to happen here in the United States. But I kind of just wanted to go and go through a timeline here. And I didn't write any of this down. This is not my own research. You can find this on the New York Times. So if you want to look this up, you can just go to New York Times, nytimes.com, and you can follow along with me if you want to. So go ahead and pause it, and then you can just go to New York Times, and it's right there. And if it's not there, I don't know where it is. Or it's New York Times, a timeline of what happened since George Floyd's death or something like that. You can find it there. Anyway, as dusk neared On May 25th, 2020, a teenager walking to a corner store in South Minneapolis whipped out her cell phone and recorded a shocking sight. A white police officer kneeling on the neck of a black man for more than 9 agonizing minutes. In the hours that followed, the cell phone video showing George Floyd's murder would spread across the globe and incite an uprising for racial justice nearly unparalleled in American history. Hundreds and thousands of Americans took to the streets. Protesters and police officers clashed in many cities. Corporations scrambled to issue statements affirming their commitments to racial equality. Athletes knelt during the national anthem. Now, this goes way back. Like, we started seeing athletes protesting and kneeling, way back during Colin Kaepernick, and people were calling him, don't do it on your time, do it on your own time. But here we go. We got someone actually kneeling on another individual, another human being that happens to be a black man, and he ended up dying for it. So Colin Kaepernick is now being looked at as like, hey, this is something that we probably should have taken a little bit more seriously when the NFL and other people were like, he should be fired. But anyway, we're going to continue moving on. The country both struggled to confront its history of racial division and continue to succumb to it. Americans saw new police killings greeted by fresh rounds of protests. Presidential candidate traded barbs over race, policing, law and order, and bias. And a former police officer trial left many across the country nervously glued to their television sets. Here is a look back at what was transpired in the years since. So I'm not going to go through all of it, but I am going to read, what happened on May 25th of 2020. And then I'm going to skip through a couple of the months, because it does go through from May 25th, 2020, and it goes all the way to present time till June 1st of 2021, and it gives you a really good breakdown of what's happened from the year on. So like, where have we moved? Have we moved any forward? Have we done any of this? So I'm just gonna read some of the more intriguing things, which this whole thing is really, really fucking intriguing. But I would definitely recommend you guys taking the time, going out to New York Times, a timeline of what has happened since, a timeline of what has happened in the year since George Floyd's death. George Floyd is killed by police. George Floyd, a 46-year-old African-American man, is killed on the street corner of Minneapolis after being handcuffed and pinned to the ground by Derek Chauvin and other officers responding to a forgery call. Dariana Frazier, a 17-year-old, turns on her cell phone to capture video of Mr. Chauvin, who is white, using his knee to pin Mr. Floyd by his neck. Mr. Floyd is heard repeating, saying, "I can't breathe." Miss Frazier's video contradicted the initial police account, which said Mr. Floyd had died after a medical incident, as he was restrained by officers. Ooh. I don't know why I'm getting all choked up about this, but it's just these things continue to happen, and we're still here a year later, and some things have moved forward, but at the same time, the fight isn't still over. But anyway, May 26, 4 officers involved in his arrest are fired. The Minneapolis police chief, Meradina Oriano, I don't know if I'm saying that right, fires all 4 officers involved in the arrest of Mr. Floyd. Hundreds of protesters against police violence flood the streets in the city in that evening. I'm just going to hit some of the bullet points. May 27th, protest grows and spreads across the U.S. May 28th, a Minneapolis police station is burned. May 29th, Derek Chauvin is arrested. May 30th, the White House is locked down. May 31st, a day of peaceful demonstration ends in a night of clashes. And then June 1st, protesters are cleared for President Trump's photo op. Oh, that motherfucker. Confederate symbols become a target of the protest, June 2nd. June 3rd, new charges are laid against the Minneapolis officers. June 4th, Buffalo police officers are suspended after shoving 75-year-old protester. Remember that? When protesters went, I forget where they were going, but then like these group of of riot geared heavy police officers pushed this 75-year-old protester down and was suspended. I don't know if he was fired, but he probably should have been fired. Why are you pushing anyone anyway, especially a 75-year-old man? June 8th, protesters established an anonymous zone. And June 9th, a private funeral service was held for George Floyd. June 10th, NASCAR announced it would ban Confederate flags. Good job. And an Atlanta police officer fatally shoots a Rashad Brooks. Here we go. Just, not even a month later, we got another fatal shooting happening. New York State bans chokeholds. That's June 12th. The Aunt Jemima name was dropped. And there's some more things were happening like that around, and social media kind of took over it, and it kind of waved into something like crazy, and people are talking about, well, if they're going to do this, they're going to do that, whatever. Anyway, then June 19th, which is Juneteenth, is more widely recognized. The holiday commemorating the emancipation, I should say, of slaves in the United States that have been embraced by African Americans since the late 1800s. Major companies like Twitter, Nike, and Allstate make it a paid holiday. The Associated Press changes its writing style guide to capitalize the B in the term black when referring to people in a racial, ethnic, or cultural context. The news organization says it wants to make more clear that those who identify as black have a shared sense of history, identity, and community. Colorado limits the ability of police officers to use qualified immunity as a defense, which we're going to talk about that here a little bit later, against a liability in state courts. The bill won the support of the state's police chiefs and county sheriff's organizations. The state also banned the use of deadly force to apprehend or arrest a person suspected of only a minor of nonviolent offenses. And this is what I don't matter. This is what I don't understand. This is what I don't matter. I don't understand why this happens. So the whole thing with George Floyd is he presented a fake $50 bill or a fake $20 bill, one of the two. I forget. Nonetheless, it was a fake currency of the United States of America, which is illegal. Okay, it's a federal offense, but it's not a violent offense. But regardless of what you're doing, if you have a criminal background or don't have a criminal background, if you're doing something that's nonviolent, there should be non-violent force used against you. If you are using violent force, then obviously you're going to use violent force. So if someone uses words against you, you're going to use words back. And then I've always been taught, if someone talks to you in a certain manner, and they, use certain type of words, then you use those certain type of words. And the same thing goes here with this. If someone's being violent towards you and they throw hands, then guess what? If you're a police officer, you're throwing hands. If a person comes towards a police officer and uses a knife, I can see, using some type of lethal force. Not lethal force. Let me take that back. I want to say lethal force because the main purpose of a police officer is to protect and to serve. That's what they are. They're not judge, jury, and executioner. They're not here to just be going out there, fucking shooting people and killing people to dead because, whatever. I understand that your life may have been in danger, but I don't know. I'm not a doctor or anything, but it depends on how you were stabbed or whatever, or hit or with a knife or whatever. Anyway, it's debatable, and I don't want to get into a huge debate about all that with myself, but nonetheless, like, I don't understand why non-lethal. And yes, he put his knee on his neck, and it wasn't lethal. He didn't use a taser. He didn't use any of those other items, but he did put his knee on his neck, which is probably something that, years ago would probably be something that a lot of police officers would use. But it's sad that we have to come to this. This was a huge one. And July 1st, Los Angeles trims its police budget by $150 million. New York paints Black Lives Matter in front of Trump Tower. Oh my goodness, I didn't know that. Washington football team retires its name. They didn't even use the real. I understand. There's some things that we can talk about, and we can probably get into a debate about. But like, I don't know. I don't really want to get to it. The Washington football team retires its name on July 13th. Federal agents in Portland pull some people off the streets in unmarked vans. Representative John Lewis dies. Representative John Lewis, the son of the sharecroppers and the apostle of nonviolence, who was bloodied at Selma. So, I mean, the narrative so far is that, we're in distraught, and we're pretty much divided because of the president that we had at the time, Mr. Orange. And he was just pretty much just inciting just like violence in people and saying that the protesters were wrong. So then, these people are going to be doing the same thing. The people that align with his narrative are going to come out and say that, Black Lives Matter is a terrorist group and all this jazz and blah, blah, blah. But the hugest terrorist group here is the local police departments everywhere that have either used lethal force to shoot an unarmed black man or unarmed colored person to provide, protect, and serve for their city. I don't get it. Anyway, then we move it into January 2021. Supporters of President Trump stormed the Capitol. That fiasco happened. Joe Biden was inaugurated on January 12th as the 46th president. In February, a former officer is charged with murder in the shooting of Andre Hill. The head of the Indianapolis Museum in Art resigns. Oh, shit, I know. Charles L. Venable, the president of Newfields, the 152-acre campus that is home to the Indianapolis Museum of Art, resigns amid an uproar over a job posting which said the museum was seeking a director who would work not only to attract more diverse audience, but also to maintain what is described as its traditional core with white art audience. You sure you want to do that? Let's see. Berkeley prohibits officers from conducting traffic stops. Then we're going to move into March. We're getting closer. The House passes a policing overhaul bill named in George Floyd's name. The House Democrats passed a sweeping federal policing overhaul that would combat racial discrimination and excessive use of force in law enforcement as lawmakers seek to rekindle bipartisan negotiations on the issue. The bill has not been passed by the Senate. Mr. Biden had hoped lawmakers would broker the deal before May 25th, the anniversary of Mr. Floyd's death, but a breakthrough has remained elusive despite continued closed-door negotiations between the representatives Karen Bass, Democrat of California, and Senators Cory Booker, Democrat of New Jersey, and Tim Scott, Republican of South Carolina. Derek Chauvin, April 20th. Derek Chauvin was found guilty of murdering George Floyd. Mr. Chauvin is found guilty of second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter in the death of Mr. Floyd. The jury deliberated for about 10 hours. Mr. Chauvin faces up to 40 years in prison when he is sentenced in the coming weeks, but is likely to receive far less time. The presumptive presumptive, I can't even fucking speak. Sentence for second-degree murder is 12.5 years, according to Minnesota's sentencing guidelines, although the state has asked for a higher sentence. Minutes before the verdict, a police officer in Columbus, Ohio, shot and killed Micaiah Bryant, a 16-year-old girl in foster care who appeared about to stab a woman with a steak knife in a driveway of her foster home. Okay, so I mean, pretty much, like, in just kind of closing here, that we pretty much haven't found any solution to any of this, and I don't think there's going to be any solution to any of this at all. I think that what's going to have to move forward is going to have to be we're going to have to be able to have conversations about that. Going forward, one thing that could lead to officers being held accountable in some regards is the end of qualified immunity, a clause that shields government officials from civil lawsuits in certain cases unless the court feels that he or she violated the victim's civil rights, which is a part of the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. If that bill passes, it would also put an end to chokeholds and no-knock warrants for federal officers. Additionally, it would create a national database of police misconduct and require all federal officers to wear body cameras. Even though that the bill is a step forward in the right direction, it only affects that of the federal area, the federal officers. And when most of these cases come from officers that worked or are working on the local level. I just wanted to shed light on, the timeline of what had happened in a whole year, that it hasn't gone away. We haven't stopped thinking about it. We haven't stopped talking about it. I always wear my hoodie, my black hoodie that says Black Lives Matter on it. And still to this day, I always get people come up to me and say, all lives matter and all this happens. And it's like, you're taking it with a grain of salt. You probably don't have any black friends, or you probably don't have any person in color that's ever been through any adversity in their life or have lost a life because of a police officer. I am so thankful that I have never have been in any situation. I've been in some situations with police officers before, but I haven't been in a situation or know anyone that has lost their life as a person, a brown man or a black man that I know personally that has lost their lives by police officers. So I'm fortunate in that sense, but I can only imagine what that would feel like, because I have many friends that are black, have many friends of other nationalities, and I would just hate to anybody. I don't care if you're white, black, or anything. If you were shot and killed, I would be devastated. But the sad truth is, and the horrible truth is that more black and brown people and people of color are being shot and being targeted against more than white people. And that's just the fact. It's just the fucking fact. But where are we at? Nonetheless, the fight isn't over. There isn't, I don't really know how to segue into something lighter, but silence for all the people of color that have been, mistreated by other police officers and the loss of their lives. The only thing I can think of to, give remembrance to Mr. George Floyd and to all the people of color that have been shot and attacked and killed and murdered by these police officers, I can only think of silence. So let's give some little silence here. All right, we're back. Beer review. Beer review for I haven't done a few beer reviews lately, and I had this beer a couple nights ago. It's from Saugatuck Brewery up in Saugatuck, Michigan, and it's the Blueberry Lemonade Shandy. And I'm just going to just do the review. I don't have the beer with me today because I drank all 6 that day, but it was a pretty good beer. You can go and look on Brews and Views, Brews_Views 1.1 on Instagram, and you can find the picture there, and also the small review where I say Blueberry Lemonade Shandy by Saugatuck by Saugatuck Brewery. Nice and smooth with a awesome blend of blueberry and a slight taste of lemon. I didn't put that in there, but it's 5%. It does have a very refreshing, crisp flavor. It's really, really freaking good. And I didn't really have like a it wasn't like super powerful at all, because it's 5%. And it was just one of those like, kick back and drink type of things. It was like a lemonade with like a little blueberry with a little lemonade in it. It was good, man. I had a few of those. Like I said, I had about 6 of those bad boys, and they were good, man. So I'm going to be able to give you guys more beer reviews and more pictures on Instagram and Facebook and wherever you guys are following Brews and Views at, because I recently just moved to weekends at work, which is Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, 12-hour shifts. And I got a little bit of raise, so it's kind of compensating for the other 4 hours that I'm not getting. But we're starting to see a little bit of traction more at work, so there's going to be some time for some overtime. So I may come in maybe one day, maybe like a Tuesday morning for like 4 or 5 hours, maybe like noon to 4. Yeah, something like that, just to get those extra 4 hours and, get them 40 hours in, because, everyone thinks that, work week should be 40 hours. If you don't get 40 hours and you're not really working a full-time job, get the fuck out of here. Those are those people that only know our jobs, and they don't understand. They don't understand how to make like other money in other places, But anyway, so I'm going to be able to give you guys more beer reviews and movie reviews and all this jazz, because I'm going to be able to go to the movies more, because I'm going to have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. I'm going to have 4 days off, and I'm probably going to be able to watch 3 movies a week, and then I'll be able to sit my ass down in front of my television and watch some of the shows that I need to catch up on. Movies that I want to catch up on. I'm gonna list those here in a little bit, but movies that I recently have reviewed have been. Hold on a second. I don't really know how to use Instagram that well on the internet on the Mac. Basically, I'm saying I've only used Instagram on my phone, and now I'm just using it on a computer, and I'm like a little all over the place. But I recently watched. I think I've already reviewed Willy's Wonderland, but if you haven't listened to that episode, bear with me, and I'll just give you my review on Willy's Wonderland again. If you don't know what Willy's Wonderland is, it is basically Five Nights at Freddy's with Nicolas Cage sprinkled in there. More than just sprinkled. I think he sprinkles Willy all over the place. But anyway, here goes my review for Willy's Wonderland. I don't know when Nick Cage took the path of being in horrible movies, but he sure is keeping up with this one. This movie is so horrible that it's fun to watch. I'm not joking, folks. I recommend anyone to watch this movie for the simple fact that it is so off the wall. Nick Cage left me speechless with this performance. But what do I know? I'm just a guy that loves watching movies. The movie is there are some things about the movie that really, really had me laughing. And there are some other parts where I'm like, this is going to happen next. This is going to happen. Like, it was kind of horrible, but it was kind of good. It was a good horrible. But anyway, I did recently watch The Army of the Dead, I should say. And this was on Netflix. And one of the main reasons why I watched this movie was Zack Snyder directed it. So I'm like, zombie, Zack Snyder. Have y'all seen 300? Yeah, let's give this a watch. So Zack Snyder did it again with a very bloody and interesting zombie film. And they even tried to humanize the zombies to have feelings and love. Pretty much just sit back and relax movie. However, some elements could have been left out and we would have gotten a good story. But what do I know? I'm just a guy who loves watching movies. Pretty good overall. A fucking great movie. If you're looking for just an all-out fucking zombie movie that kind of has some great fucking cinematic, value to it, and the photography and the cinematography in it is fucking awesome. Zack Snyder does a fucking great job with this movie, so definitely give that motherfucker a try if you haven't seen it yet. Then I went and saw A Quiet Place. I went and saw A Quiet Place, and this is the first movie that I've got to see in the movie theater in a long time, because I got hired in at the place I work at now, which everyone knows, so I just say Sweetwater, back in September. So since September, I really haven't gone and seen a movie, except one day I just took a day off and went and saw a movie because I was like, man, this shit's getting too much. I'm not saying that the work was too much, but it's just like, man, I'm missing out on a lot of shit. Yeah, I have to work and whatnot, but that shouldn't be my life. My life shouldn't just be about work, sleep, eat, and go back to work. Trying to make other people money. I got to be able to enjoy that shit too. So when you work second shift, man, you really don't get much time to do anything during the day, and then you're off to work around 3:00, and then from 3 to 11:30, man, you're working for the man, and then you get off at 11:30 and you're up at night, and it's either you go out and do something, or you're just sitting home quiet because everyone else is probably asleep, and you just gotta be quiet. So when the weekends come, it's like, oh, I gotta rush to do this and that, and it's just so much better now that I'm on weekends. But anyway, went and saw A Quiet Place, and I didn't get to see the first A Quiet Place, just for the mere thing that, I don't know, I just have this thing towards horror movies or ones that try to be scary, and it come to my attention that it's not really a horror movie. It's more of like a sci-fi. Once I started to watch little clips and scenes from the first movie, it kind of had just a rundown, and I was like, oh, this is more like a sci-fi movie. I would have been more into it if they would have called it a sci-fi movie. But that's what happens when you watch too much trailers. They just try to make it look scarier than anything. But anyway, so yeah, I didn't really get to watch the first one because I just didn't really care for that type of movie, and I didn't want to go see it. But anyway, A Quiet Place Part 2. You really don't need to watch Part 1 to have any understanding what's going on with this movie. I didn't, and I'm told the first one is much better. However, the movie moves very slow and takes forever for it to actually climax. Although entertaining, it was good to actually sit in a movie theater with family and enjoy a movie together. But what do I know? I'm just a guy that loves watching movies. There were some pretty cool parts in the movie, camera wise, the director, he did a really some, I could tell just by watching it for the first time that he had some really good, really good eye for the artsy fartsy parts of moving a camera around and everything like that. But some of the camera shots were absolutely wonderful. The CGI is absolutely wonderful. There's only a couple parts where you see where it is actually CGI. The more lighting that you have, the more it kind of gives away the CGI, or the whatever thing is in CGI. You can see more of that. So the more and more you see bad CGI or not well made CGI, you'll always see it in dark, see it at night, because they're trying to hide the flaws and imperfections in the CGI, which some of it is actually really good in the light during the daytime with some of these CGI monsters, but there's one particular scene that I saw that I was like, oh, you can definitely tell that's that is definitely fucking CGI. But that was the only part. That was the only part because there was a lot of moving things going on at the same time, and it's really kind of hard to edit. And it was a 2-shot stitched scene, so you can definitely tell it was, because there's too many things going on in one scene, and they had to edit and stitch it and do all that jazz. But nonetheless, I enjoyed it. I was entertained. Would I recommend it? Yes, go watch it. But nonetheless, I'm probably going to watch the first one now because everyone has been saying that, the first one was so much better. So I really want to give it a try, because, people said to like it so much. But anyway, where we at? Going to the movies again. So I did re-up my subscription to AMC, the A-List. It's where you get 3 movies a week for $20 a month. And all I have to say is it's a no-brainer. So if you see yourself watching more than 3 movies, if you see yourself wanting to watch more than 3 movies a month, then this thing's going to just pay for its fucking self. Because, just think about it. If you pay for one ticket at just a regular price, because now there really isn't any matinees until the weekends, and there's like maybe one matinee time, you're looking at spending, even with 3, it's like maybe $15. If we go the lowest, it's like $7.99 for a ticket. And then at the highest, it's like $15 for a ticket. So one time at $15, if you go see an IMAX movie, is pretty much paying for itself. So for $20 a month, for a solo, subscription, you get 3 movies a week that you can go see, a week for an entire month for $20. So it was a no-brainer for me, and I was using it a lot. Back when I was working like a straight up 9 to 5, and I can get off, go straight to the movies, watch a movie, then go back to work, do it the same thing again the next day. But yeah, definitely go check out AMC A-List. They're not paying me to say this. It's just like I think it's a great deal. And if you do love movies and you don't want to spend a bunch, and then, if you do spend a little bit of money there on concessions, you start to add up these little points and whatnot. And then, they give you money back. Like right now, I got like $20. I think I got like $20 of like AMC cash just sitting in my app that I can just buy, popcorn and drinks with. And I totally forgot. So I could have did that when I watched The Quiet Place, but I'm going to save it for later. I'm going to save it for later, man. Now we're going to move on to some shows that I've been watching. I've been watching The Bad Batch on Disney. I've been watching MODOK on Hulu, which is fucking hilarious. Fucking hilarious. If you've never seen Robot Chicken before, it's basically Robot Chicken meets Marvel, and it's fucking awesome. Recently finished Watchmen because I got to the first like 2 episodes, and then life happened and I just didn't watch it. So I finished Watchmen, which is so fucking good. It's so heavily like about racial injustice and police brutality and all that jazz, all mixed into the Watchmen. You have to watch it. Just a fucking great fucking show. And I know Alan Moore is fucking like so pissed that like another one of his books was turned into a show and a movie, which was a movie like way back in the day. But like Alan Moore hates that all his stuff gets turned into movies or other adaptations. He just wants them to be a book. But that's what happens when you write good shit, buddy. Anyway, movies and shows that are on my list. And these are on my list that I'm watching right now, or I do want to watch. So currently I'm watching Selena season 2. I'm on episode 3. I definitely want to watch this movie that just came out on Netflix called Doggone Trouble. Cruella, you can either watch it on Disney Plus, but you got to pay $30, or you can go watch it at the movie theaters. And I've already paid for a $20 subscription, so that's a no-brainer. I'm going to go see it at the movie theater. So we're going to go watch Cruella probably here today or tomorrow. What time is it? Ooh, it's only 3:30. I might go watch Cruella today. Then we have 1971, the year that music changed on Apple TV. And it said read description, but we're not going to do it. For All Mankind on Apple TV, and I haven't finished that. I'm only on episode 3. And I fucking love it so much because it's like, what if the Russians beat us to the moon first, and like they beat us in the space race, and we're just behind, and we're trying to like catch up to their coattails, or like we're riding on their coattails kind of deal. Like that's the shit that's happening for all mankind, which is kind of cool. And then Those Who Wish Me Dead on HBO Max, which is, or in the theaters, which is a Angelina Jolie movie. And I probably might watch that on HBO Max because you can just watch it on HBO Max. They're not charging you any extra to watch it, so I may just watch it tonight or tomorrow. But anyway, so yeah, I got a lot of catching up to do. So that's happening. But now that since I got the A list, there are some other movies that I haven't watched that has been out only on in the movie theaters that I haven't been able to watch. And my fucking computer froze up. Not froze, but it went into lock mode. There we go. But yeah. So anyway, I lost train of thought because I'm thinking about 17 million things at once here. But I do have something I do want to talk about.
Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win today. They're singing,
Go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go! Hey Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna win today. Go Cubs, go! Yeah, how about them Cubbies? I'll be honest with you, and all you folks that are still listening 57 minutes later, I haven't really been watching too much, but I have been watching some games here and there, when I was at work and stuff, had an earbud in, I'm not going to give all my secrets away, but I've been watching some of the games at work, and they've been really good. They look good. We actually kind of have a bullpen. We kind of actually have some pitching going on. And just recently, if you haven't seen the play by Javi Baez, when he was he was up to bat, he hit the ball, it went to like third base or something, and so Javi is running to first base, third baseman or the shortstop throws the ball over to, the pitcher gets the ball. And then the pitcher starts walking towards the first baseman, and Javi slows down a little bit. At the same time, meanwhile, we have a guy that's on third base, and he's trying to distract them so third baseman, the guy who's on third, can come home, right? Well, meanwhile, they figure that out, and he throws the ball to the first baseman, and the first baseman, I don't understand why he just didn't put his foot on first base, because then Javi would be out, and then it would be done. Like we don't have anything else to worry about here. That's just baseball 101, right? But no, this dude decides to run down Javi. Javi runs back towards home plate. And as this is happening, Javi, in his El Mago way, dodges him trying to tag him. Then, while that is happening, while they're all, worrying about Javi Baez trying to, go back to home plate, which that doesn't make any fucking sense why they should worry about him. They should worry about the guy trying to score, right? Then they throw the ball over to the catcher. The catcher misses the ball. The guy from third base comes in, scores. Now, meanwhile, Javi is still fucking standing there. So he runs back to first base. They throw the ball to first base. The first baseman misses the catch. The catch goes behind him. Javi rounds first base, goes to second, throws the ball to second base, and then he drops the ball too. And the commentator is like, go, go, go. Like, go to the third. But it was just so fucking wild that this actually happened in Major League Baseball. Like, all you had to do was put your foot on first base, homie, and it would have been over. Like a lot of people I heard commenting on it and, you know, posting things on social media saying like, man, this is Little League. Nah, bro. You see some of these Little League players play, they play better than the fucking Pirates, man. Maybe we should just call this like a fucking T-ball, but yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on with them. But anyway, I'm going to have to close it out for the day, for the afternoon, for your bubble bath, for your shower, whatever you're doing, washing dishes, whatever you're doing while you're listening to the podcast. But I just want to say I'm sorry to anyone that I've ever hurt emotionally. I'm learning to stick up for myself, not be walked all over. I've always just tried to turn the other cheek, and that's what people expected out of me. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. However, now I'm learning how to correctly filter myself to get my point across and not upset anyone. I know I'm still going to upset people or offend someone, but I just have to live with it and move on. And I just love all the people that actually understand and listen to me. I love you guys all. You guys have a great week. Peace.